Yo, what's going on? What's good, everyone, everywhere? See the title of the video, man. I'm gonna go ahead and put out this last Celestial video right now. Okay, this is for PvP. And before we get into it, though, I want to say I didn't put the Clarion on my hybrid for the healer loadout that I made. Okay, go ahead and check that video out if you haven't already. I didn't put it, but it is going to be on my precision loadout. Okay, so stay tuned in for that. That's coming up, but it's not necessarily needed. You can make a build around it, and you can basically take out admonish, I would say, for your weapon, or just take out one of the superchargers for your weapon and call that a day, pretty much. But yeah, just want to throw that in there. But without further ado, let's go and get into it. Now, you see the gear. It's pretty much mostly Gotham Knight, some Elemental Android that I still have left to, upgrade and whatnot. But that's pretty much PvP gear. If you are trying to duel and whatnot, I would say a good mix. So whatever your highest ones, like for me, is your Gotham Knight, and then the lower ones I'll pick with actual PvE gear. So definitely put like the OP neck, OP back on, stuff like that, because that's gonna greatly boost everything up. Definitely have your consumable and whatnot. And if you're dueling, I use Transformation, the Strategist, and the Grim for the most part. But once again, you can switch stuff out. Like the Decking Scepter, my apologies, y'all. It's always a nice thing to have. There's some other ones too. This one's Computo's Redistributor HUD is okay, especially in PvP. Quizlets, okay if you're gonna pop in supers and whatnot. The Universal Dispenser is gonna be okay if you're using your weapon buff. But since we're healer power 2, if you're gonna use weapon buff, you can definitely use the Clarion for PvP, okay? And there's always the Lamont card too that you can also use. But let's go ahead and get into a little bit of trinkets. If you are dueling, just keep you, in your best of the best. Most people don't use trinkets or any kind of thing like that when they are dueling, but let's say if you're having a match that you are using it, home mat trinket is always a nice thing to have, since it does boost you up for PvP with your toughness and your health and whatnot. Supply drop if you need it. Sidekicks always good to have. If you don't like sidekicks, definitely have your backup with you. And then have your breakout trinket if you're going in an instance to play PvP. But if you're just dueling, have like a stat one here, or possibly an orbital if you don't really be shiesty about it. But honestly, I will probably pick one of the boos that actually give you a shield. Okay. But let's go ahead and get into our allies. If you are going to be, sorry y'all, oh, I'm starting to trip a little bit. There we go. Alright, so if you are going to be dueling, once again, you pretty much want to go with the DPS ones that I recommend here. The Death Metal Batman and his second support ability, the Cloak of Erasure. And then the Batman Who Laughs first support ability, the Luck of the Draw. Pretty much some of your go-to ones that you want to use for PvP, just because damage mitigation, might, and precision. It's going to be a lovely thing to have. And this, all the different buffs that he has are just lovely across the board. If you want, I could say that you could go for Cyborg support ability just to make sure your power's up there. And I would replace it with the Death Metal Batman's one before I replace it with the Batman Who Laughs, Luck of the Draw. Okay. And for the actual combat ally, definitely just go with the House of Legend spot. It's the easiest, it's quick. It does a little like pulse beam that you can do with like hand blasters and whatnot, and does a lot of one of the highest single target damage in the game. So It's always nice. Bam. So let's go ahead and go on to our loadout and spec. Now, for mine, since I only have one armory for my PvP, the rest are for PvE, I normally keep mine doubled up. So this spec will be for both roles. I'll use hand blast currently, but I'm probably gonna change that weapon, probably like a shield or something, because shield, if you don't know, you can pretty much just tap and hold and you can constantly go through all of these different combos, like the spin, the play, uppercut, and all of that. And you just keep doing tap and hold, tap and hold, tap and hold, and it's very quick, and you can time it a lot easier for the blocks and stuff like that, and then the block breaks, everything like that. Okay, so shield's probably going to be the weapon I'm going with next, but for martial arts right now, or rifle, everyone uses rifle though, but for martial arts I pretty much like to get all the abilities, because you never know what combos you need to go ahead and employ on your opponent, especially if your opponent is able to read you quickly and you have to switch up your play styles and different, you know, abilities that you use, whatever. Now, the spec for pretty much majority of the PvP videos are going to stay the same. I definitely come and get all my resistances and breakout recoveries and stuff like that, mastery. Okay, I like to get, especially with super speed, it has a lot of very good abilities, especially vortex trap is broken in PvP. Not really broken, let me not say that, because I don't want it to get like nerfed or anything, but it is a go-to. You damage people over time, you stun them, you cannot block it, you cannot interrupt them unless you stun them like a hard stun to stop them. Okay, it is pretty much not like possible to like not win with this, you know what I mean? Like, if that made any sense. Like, if you have this, you're either on even ground or you have an advantage over your opponent. So if you don't win, that's going to be on you pretty much. Okay, although it hits less than Whirling Dervish does, Whirling Dervish actually is vulnerable block, so that's not going to help you too much. I like metabolic boost, especially because it's basically a free breakout and it restores health over time. Speed drain is okay, but not the greatest in my opinion. Dash attack will be also another good one, so I'll definitely get metabolic boost first. And then for iconics, I pretty much have a little bit of everything, just depending on the situation and what the enemy is using. Okay, so some people like to use Amazonian deflection. I'll use it if it, you know, situation arises pretty much. The clown box is supercharged. It's very funny. You just gotta be careful how you use it, because some people will take you, like say if you're fighting on a point, they'll take you and the clown will pick you up and they'll just throw you. Sonic Cry, more use it for stun. It does okay damage, but nothing like, you know, superb or anything like that. Hardlight Shield is one of the best shields in the game for like a personal shield, just because it has 100% damage mitigation and is one of like the strongest ones right now. Robot Sidekick, once again, depending on what's going on. I don't typically like to use this because the powder regeneration is reduced, so that kind of sucks. But Pheromone Bloom, one of my bread and butters. I'm not using metabolic boost. I use this when I do have my supercharge built up. There's normally something like if I die and then come back, then I'll switch to your supercharge as I'm coming back and go about it that way. Word of Power if I'm healing more, and especially like in a bigger like 8 or 4 to 8 group, you know, activity that we're PvPing, then I use Word of Power more, just to make sure everyone has power so we're able to finish off the enemies. Neo Venom boost, just if I'm doing a lot of DPS and what I'm doing isn't enough burn to like finish off, like say like a healer for example. They're sometimes very annoying to like kill in this game, so Neo Venom boost is my answer for that pretty much. Super Strength, once again, your weaponization, it helps in your weapon damage. It's minimal and it's not major, but it helps nonetheless. So stat points, I like powder regeneration because I want to be able to break out of stuff even if I lose a lot of power and whatnot, because you do get nerfed to some extent. And this is where your stat points your skill points for your stat points kind of have to be very concrete in what you're doing, because some other YouTuber actually put out a video a long time ago now of the same thing, but you pretty much can spec for your crits up here like normal, max those out right. But in terms of your stat points down here for specific ones like restoration, precision, mind power, health, dominance, vitalization, whatever you want to call it, you don't want to go past 100. Now they go in increments of 10, so that's what you want to spec for, increments of 10. Okay, and basically how DCO PvP is when you want instances work is that it buffs you or pretty much keeps you stagnant or whatever you want to call it, depending on how you want to do it. Now the buff when you're at 100, because it helps a lot more people with that don't have as many skill points to like close the gap a little bit for them. If you spec to 100, you actually get more of that particular stat that you're specking into than you would maxing it out. I know it's weird, but it's just is what it is for the game right now. Okay, so but you pretty much want to increments 10, don't go past 100. So for someone like me that has like 618, I would pretty much spec everything else. That's why you saw I have so many other things, so many points and so many other things pretty much. Get my 100 and these four in particular, you definitely want to get your 100 in health and mind power. Those are going to be key. Restoration, especially for your healer side, and precision just for PvP in general. Now, since I have extra, I'll put some in vitalization so I can, build my power back up as I'm fighting with my weapon. And dominance just for a little bit of those stuns and whatnot to help out. Dominance really doesn't do much, and it helps in your shield a little bit, but it really doesn't do much. It needs to be looked at a little bit for that stat. But in terms of loadout, I have both loadouts here, as you see. Now there can be slight variations just depending on what is going on and what you're trying to do, depending on if it's a duel, or you're in an instance, are you in a 1-on-1, a 2-on-2, 4v4, 5v5, 8v8, and whatever case may be. Okay, but from a healer, I like to use Renew for the most part because I more rely on Consume Soul. It's a very good heal and what it does, and then I clip it with Renew, which is pretty cheaper, but not by much. Another good one that you could use is Admonish. A lot of times I like to use Admonish more than Renew, but just Renew for especially those smaller groups. But Admonish, especially if you do the full combo, then it give you a burst heal and a heal over time. But definitely if you're looking for more save somebody's life because they're getting, 2v1'd at the moment, Renew and Consume Soul is pretty much going to save them, as opposed to Admonish, which will delay it a little bit, but if they're doing a lot of damage, it's not going to save them, in my experience. Now, it has the capability of it, but in my experience, it normally doesn't. Always keep Vortex Trap on, especially in dealing with PvP, because it's just the move to have for PvP. Death Mark, I love using it because it is a shield, but it also does a lot of damage. So, and it also heals you too. So it's always nice. But Blessing, because this is the healer loadout, so it's pretty much Death Mark and Blessing are pretty much the same thing. They're the reverse of one another. So 2 shields there and a third right there. Look at that, 3 shields, and we're not even a tank. But yeah. Anyways, whenever you want to switch out, let's say for Supercharge, I normally switch out Heartlight Shield, even though it is a good shield and sometimes a better shield to actually use than like Blessing, which does a lot more scaling. Sorry, y'all, that's my dog over here asleep, having a little bit of a nightmare. I'm about to check on her in a sec. But yeah, I will go ahead and still take out Heartlight Shield instead of Blessing, just because of the stuff that Blessing can give you in terms of the whole Death Mark thing and just exploding, healing you, etc. Okay. And yeah, I think that was about it. Now for the damage side, I like to keep my power cost with a lot of stuff low. That's what the healer stuff. I don't normally like to use Virtuous Light because it's 450 power cost. That's a lot. Admonish and Consume Soul are even a lot. They're 300 each, and you combo them bad boys. So it's like 300 with extra like 100 to 150, you know, each time. After that, for all the combos, it's a lot for the most part. So with this, I like to keep power costs low, but pretty much each one is a good bang for your buck kind of thing. Like good bang for your power. Like power cost to actual damage ratio is really good. So Smite, in my testing, does for some reason all the like blessed ones and the purified ones, like how Smite is to Haunt, do more damage than the wicked corrupted ones now. It used to be the other way around. So, but for some reason it's back to how it was a long time ago. So I don't know what kind of change happened there, but something happened. But anyways, use Smite. I like to use combos just 100, so it's very spammable, especially in PvP. Raptor Presence is a very high damage move, especially if you can crit it. It does a lot. Heartlight Shield, like I said before, just a good shield all around thing to use. If you're not really struggling like that, you can definitely switch it out for something like Wither. It's another good move to use, but even now Retribution does more damage than Wither for some reason. So you can plug in Retribution if you need a little bit more damage in your loadout. If not, you can always go for a Neophytum boost, a Pheromone Bloom, even a Metabolic boost. Okay, just have you a little bit of free breakout right there. If you want more stuns, put a Sonic Cry in. If you want just a little like quick burst damage, even Cyclone Push is good, or Tornado Pool. Tornado Pool is less power cost, but it does kind of lock you in animation though after it. Okay, it has to like finish it out completely, and you're free to like move about and whatnot. It's always good. Annoy, I typically don't use weapon buffs in PvP just because they are pretty high power cost, and how the state of the game is not really required, and they normally don't last that long comparatively speaking. So yeah, but if you want, you can always put a Annoy right there and replace with that. But Vortex Trap yet again, because this is not coming off my loadout pretty much for PvP. Death Mark once again does a lot of damage, a lot of burst damage, good shield. Is not gonna prevent that much damage from me, so it's gonna explode pretty early. So, and it has a timer too, so if no one damages you still, it will blow up as long as you're near people. Well, it'll blow up regardless, but if you're near people, do damage to them. And Blessing is pretty much the same there. Once it, goes through, it explodes. So yeah, but other than that, that's pretty much my loadouts here for PvP. And that would pretty much finish out all my loadouts for Celestial, if I'm not mistaken. So look, without further ado, y'all, it's your boy Trey TJ. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Support the channel by doing so and sharing out the videos. Okay, let me know in the comments what y'all want to see, what kind of content you want to see, because there is a lot more content, like the monthly giveaways that we are still doing. More style contest, base styles and character styles will be coming about. Just a whole bunch of stuff. Honestly, I got a whole activity that I need to get edited up and whatnot. That's not even DC made, but it's player made. Okay, so stay tuned in for stuff like that. Okay, without further ado, y'all, I'm gonna get out of here. Shalom.